Hey, you little squeezy. Shut up for a second, okay? This episode, we are going to be doing SCP-093 Violet test, and then the other two tests, colors. Because there's some hidden information that we just skirted the outskirts on. The last episode. So I gotta come back and revisit this. My man, if not just to see some poor little D-class personnel get uck-fucked. You know what I mean? Uck-fucked. Mirror test 3. Color. Violet. Purple. The subject is D84930, male, 21 years of age, average physique. Subject background shows instance of second-degree murder of a police officer during a drug bust. Normally, this crime, while severe, would not qualify a person for a sentence that would end up with the Foundation, but the murder of the officer was especially brutal and excessive violence was used. This subject was uncooperative and had to be reminded that his cooperation would only benefit him. Subject entered the provided mirror while holding SCP-093, which emitted a violet color. Outside, technicians observed that the mirror retained a true reflection until subject had completely passed into it, at which time the view changed to a cityscape, urban, lightly tinged in purple, similar to the first test. Video feed follows an attached media. I assume this fellow in his gang-related happenings? Maybe was sipping on a little bit too much scissor, you know what I mean? He's guilty about drinking lean. Anyways, don't do that at home. Beginning of test feed. Camera flickers to life and pans around the city. Subject is in what appears to be a modern downtown district similar to a city like New York. The streets are mostly bare except for a few cars of unknown make or model. These cars look highly advanced and streamlined. Subject attempts to look into the car windows without being instructed to, but backs away remarking there is a rank-ass stank coming from the areas around most of them. Subject is persuaded to move closer to one car and does so while coughing, wiping off a window which is covered in dirt. The inside of the car appears to be completely filled with a strange brown matter. There is nothing at all visible other than the brown matter. Two other cars produce the same results, however a fourth vehicle seems more recent than the others and the insides are immaculate. The doors to this vehicle also are unlocked and subject quickly gets inside, then shuts the door. Subject is chastised for his behavior by Control, who reminds him his lifeline is nothing more than a cable, which is sturdy enough that closing the car door does not injure it, but they cannot recover a person in motion. Subject argues with Control over this issue and pans the camera across the dashboard, pointing out he couldn't drive away even if he tried. The dashboard is void of any recognizable controls, no ignition, no steering. It has several small blank screens that are theorized to be a GPS system. Subject remains in the car while Control discusses how to proceed since the city landscape is far larger than the previous test destinations. Control debates this issue while Subject stares around the cityscape from the car. During one pan, a face is clearly seen staring into the car, eyes watching the subject. However, this was not noticed until post-test footage review. Subject made no comment regarding this entity at any point. Control shortly after informs Subject to remain where he is and an escort team is dispatched through the mirror to join him. Why does this guy get an escort team? Huh? None of the other guys got escort teams. And/or ladies, okay? That's all I'm saying. What's so special about this murderer, A team of 4 armed personnel is sent through the mirror and proceeds to the subject's location. Subject is then instructed to remove his harness, which is recovered. The subject's video feed then ends and is replaced by a wireless unit used by the escort team. The video quality on this unit is subject to more interference, but in order to mark the mirror exit, a receiver system is placed through the mirror. Why are they changing things up? This is weird, dude. What's going on here? What are they thinking? Shut up, dude. We'll keep reading. Subject leaves the car and now travels with the escort team. Given the myriad of possible options, they are instructed to simply move to the closest building and attempt to enter it. So instead of just leaving this guy in there, they sent in an entire new escort team? They could have just sent the escort team in the first place. Now they have a dangerous convict as well? Join the party, dude. It's a freaking party. This building has etched glass doors bearing the name XEA Research Partners Inc., and the doors are ajar. The doors are doors. They are not jars. I guess you could have giant jars as doors. Think about that for a second. A magnetic lock system is present but has lost power. Team enters the building and main lobby. This area resembles a stereotypical corporate lobby. There is a C-shaped receptionist desk with a chair pushed far from it as if it was left in a hurry. A PC terminal is at the desk as well. Team approaches the desk and the camera bearer is instructed to examine the PC. The unit does not appear to have power, and Faithful OS appears on the screen requesting a login and password. A keyboard is present but is remarkably slim with touch-sensitive keys rather than press-down keys. After one failed attempt, the lock screen replies that maximum attempts have been exceeded and the PC turns off. No actual tower or power button can be located, so team moves forward. Behind the receptionist desk are 2 elevator doors, one to the left and one to the right, with similar touch-sense keys. The elevator on the left is broken, the door open and the shaft empty. The elevator on the right appears functional and has power. Without a clear destination, the team is instructed to proceed to the highest floor to get a lay of the city. All floors appear to be accessible, with the highest being 114. In reality, 112, as 13 and 113 are missing from the keypad. Journey of the elevator is uneventful during this time. The elevator does appear to take longer as it passes by 13 and then 113, suggesting that entire floor was built and nothing put on it. At 114, the door opens, and team enters a large lounge-type area. There are many couches with dust on them. A widescreen, apparently LCD TV of approximately 60+ inches in size dominates the wall in front of them with no power. A series of windows are open, allowing in sunlight at the far end, to which the team proceeds and angles the camera outside. The view of the city is astonishing. This building is one of the tallest visible, but certainly not alone in its stature. The city below is gray and silent, no evidence of life at this altitude. Some buildings in this city have a strange brown growth that appears to have been splashed against them as if gelatinous mass was flung and then seeped down before hardening. Other buildings have floors where the glass has been shattered and the same brown substance is seeping out the edges. One member of the team calls the camera bearer to the windows on the other side. From the other side of the building, the city edges can be seen. Attention is pointed towards an expressway that encircles the city, upon which crawls another of the large half-body humanoids, dragging itself with its elastic arms as witnessed in previous tests. It travels the highway, then moves out of sight. The team returns to the elevator and notes that a button has already been activated for floor 74. No one has approached the elevator, so the team agrees to travel to this floor. On the 74th floor, the door opens and reveals a waiting area to what appears to be a doctor's office. At the reception desk, there is a sign-in sheet with a series of names and dates. The dates on the sign-in sheet all carry the year 1953. A PC at the receptionist area is on and functioning at a user desktop. The background for the PC is a large set of praying hands with the word Faithful OS under them. On the desktop are a series of folders with years on them containing files that, when clicked using the center button of the mouse, open to a word viewer. All files appear to be appointment information. On the desk is a notepad titled, "From the desk of Dr. Borodzinski, Blessed Purificationist." The door to the doctor's area is sketched with the same name and title, as well as with a crucifix. Opening this door leads to a white dust-free hallway that has 2 examination rooms and a key-coded door at the end. The examination rooms are unremarkable and typical of any doctor's office. All medicine cabinets are empty. A small amount of C4 is placed at the lock to the key-coded door at the request of control and then blown, forcing the door open. It'll make a lot of noise for little Jimmy Jammer Crawley boys to come and get your booties. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to steal booties because they ain't got none. Moving on. The area it opens into is much larger than the reception area itself and seems to contain a series of large containment capsules. There are totals of 6 of these capsules. 2 are broken and a brownish amber material coats the floor coming from them. 1 is empty. The last 3 have nude humans floating in them with breathing masks. Attached to the front of these tubes are medical charts showing vital signs and conditions. For symptoms, the charts explain in somewhat awkward English ailments that seem more like flaws of personality or character, or just incidents that have occurred with the patient. Control asks for a zoom-in of one of the patient's pages on the chart. After focusing, it reads, "Citizen Jennifer McZurka did suffer a lapse of the heart that did lead her to lay with her neighbor twice upon nights of her husband's departure from their home. Patient did submit herself into the Lord's and our hands for cleansing of mind and body. Prayer administered by High Father Ulawakan, and patient submitted to a 3-day period in the Lord's tears to cleanse her system, then released in good spirits." That brown stuff is the Lord's tears and it smells like rotting flesh? Doesn't sound like the Lord I know. Good Lord, I don't know what the Lord, I don't even know a Lord, dude. I don't know any Lords, do you? The topmost page reads, "Citizen Alberius Farafin struck out at a High Father during a sermon, blaspheming that the Lord's tears did turn his daughter to be unright in mind and heart, thusly laying blame for her whorish activities at the feet of the High Father and his blessing. With no proof of these blasphemies, the forgiving judge and the punishing judge did agree that Alberius Farafin should bathe in the Lord's tears himself for a week to be cleansed of mind and soul. thus to prove his daughter's ways are fault of not the father's hands and give to the peace of himself. Okay. The subject, who has been traveling quietly with the escort team, now begins to panic. The camera pans to focus on him, and he is surrounded by entities similar to those witnessed in the first 2 tests. Escort team reports in that subject is having a panic attack, but Control requests them to stand still and wait. Subject screams at the entities, which are denied to exist by Team Commander, stating subject is alone in the corner. Control requests that one team member be dispatched to approach and recover the subject. The escort team member approaches the subject as ordered. On the video, the figures part to make a pathway for the approaching member, who lifts subject to his feet and brings him out of the corner. Figures on the video are then seen closing ranks to close the path. Subject is lifted to his feet by an arm and escorted through the figures that close their ranks when the subject is moved. They remain steadfastly staring at the subject no matter where he moves to. Control requests the team to return now. Team turns to leave. Before leaving, a team member mentions something noticed at the reception desk. A binder labeled "The Lord's Tears." Control requests binder be returned as well, and it is stowed into the subject's field kit. So I'm thinking that these spiritual little shadow entity doodiddles are maybe the souls of the people that have passed from this super freaking Christian land. Maybe the Lord's tears did something to them? No spoilers alert. But obviously they're inside the Lord's tears. You know, those things crawling around secrete a brown liquid, and then some of the tanks were broken out of. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. And then these over-judgmental ghosts are latching onto this dude who did the murders. The team returns to the elevator and returns to the ground floor. Upon leaving the building, subject points down the street towards direction of entry point. The camera pans to a section of raised expressway across which one of the large torsos is crawling slowly. The entity turns its featureless head to look at the escort team, raises its head to the sky and emits a bellowing sound. Team leader issues the order to move, heading for the spot marked by the wireless video receiver. The creature on the expressway extends an arm down that stretches to touch the ground before the camera moves to the port. All team members save one move through the entry point. Subject moves through entry point and mirror returns to reflective surface. SCP-093 is dropped by subject, who panics and tries to fight his way out of the room. Subject is terminated by team leader after he draws the field kit pistol. Team leader requests portal be reopened, but it takes several minutes to find someone who can hold SCP-093 and generate a similar color. When a matching color is displayed and applied to the mirror, the video receiver is visible and all individuals report a horrific smell. Team leader moves through the entryway with control person blank. The uniform and possessions of the escort leader team who was left behind are present and recovered, but the member himself is nowhere to be seen and does not respond to shouts. Member assumed killed in action, and wireless receiver recovered. Control and escort return through entry point and mirror returns to reflective surface. Oh, they left the man down there. Why didn't they just... They didn't even need the bad guy. They didn't even need the D-class at all. Why was he there? Well, that just seems like a liability and is stupid. Okay, later review of the recovered camera shows escort member blank grasping at the air where entry point should be, and then turning to look up at the oversized torso. A brown gel seems to drip off the creature as it moves that disappears shortly after being dislodged as if evaporating. Several shots are fired at the creature's face with the automatic weapon carried by blank that land in the face of the creature, causing a spray of less viscous brown liquid to pour forth from the wounds. Blank screams obscenities as the face of the creature descends upon him and the camera is pushed to the ground. Camera feed remains dark for approximately 65 seconds before light comes back, and the camera films the creature crawling back to the expressway and pulling itself onto it, then crawling in the direction it was originally headed. Blank to believe to have been absorbed by the creature and perhaps digested. This may have been an example of how these unknown entities feed by direct contact with living material. Further study is recommended to be avoided on this issue. Returned ledger filed as blank. In memory of our dear friend blank, of course. The next test is classified as the yellow test. There will be no jokes of pee-pee on this test. The subject who held SCP-093 really had to use the restroom on this one. Alright, I have to get that stupid one out of there. Mirror test 4. Color. Yellow. D-class subjects no longer authorized for testing. Testing focus has been shifted to data collection after analyzing the articles brought back from the previous 3 tests to better understand the fate of this world accessed by SCP-093 and determine if safeguards or practices are required for our own world. Analysis of the brown fluid on the clothing of the lost escort team member blank, dear blank, has been filed with other recovered articles. Dr. Blank has volunteered, they must be related. Dr. Blank has volunteered for this test as out of the possible candidates. He was able to cause SCP-093 to undergo a new color change. There is no evidence in Dr. Blank's background of any illegal or criminal behavior, nor of any psychological problems. When presented to the mirror, the view changed to that of a cubicle office environment. For this test, Dr. Blank opted to use the wireless video system and forego the pulley return system, stating he was confident he would be safe as none of the torso creatures have been witnessed within a building, where the mirror's destination showed. Video feed commences after Dr. Blank has crossed the mirror. As with prior tests, SCP-093's current color, yellow, tinges all video material. That's a cocky doctor. And maybe that's his name, Dr. Cocky. Knock on wood, Dr. Cocky. No pun intended. A camera flickers to life and pans across a series of plain white cubicle constructs. Approximately 30 are visible. At the far end from the point of entry is an office module built into the wall with frosted glass walls and a glass door. Dr. Cocky approaches this door and investigates this etched writing on it. Senior Manager, Stanley Milliments. The door is unlocked. Dr. Blank enters the office and examines the desk. A coffee cup is on the desk. A dark brown stain covering half of the inside as the liquid evaporated. Is it the brown liquid? No, it's probably just coffee. There is a donut on a plate, which Dr. Blank picks up and lobs at the wall. On impact, it thumps like a rock and falls. What was he thinking would happen? A file cabinet in the... I must do a test on this donut to see if it's stale, to see if it's edible. He might be a fat boy, who knows? A file cabinet in the corner of the room draws Dr. Blank's attention, and he goes through each shelf one at a time, stopping in the second drawer and taking out a file, then going back to the first and taking out 2 others, continuing to a third and fourth drawers. He withdraws 4 additional files and spreads them out all on the desk. The files are blue filing folders, and he points with his finger and camera at a symbol on each of praying hands, stating aloud for the camera that all other files are stored in yellow folders. The blue folders are placed in his field kit. I assume they would look all yellow from Control, right? He said they were blue though, so we're gonna believe Dr. Cocky. Camera attention is turned to the PC on the desk that is logged in and functional. Dr. Blank comments aloud, wondering where these devices are getting their power from, as he has noticed no power outlets. This PC's desktop contains the logo Faithful OS and even has sounds. Clicks of the mouse followed by soft hymn-like hums and opening of icons, followed by angelic bells. The PC fails to yield any useful information to Dr. Blank, who abandons it and leaves the office. Approaching the other end of the office floor, Dr. Blank presses a button on the wall for the elevator and enters, finding he is on the 34th floor of a building having an unusual number scheme. The keypad layout goes from -115 to 115 and includes all floors. Before pressing a floor button, Dr. Blank requests that the wireless video transponder be moved to the elevator and replaced with a construction cone to mark the entry point. A second transponder unit is placed outside the elevator, and Control is instructed to recover the second unit and seal the test chamber should something happen to him. Then, when all is arranged, he presses the button for floor -115. The descent down the elevator is long, consuming 15 minutes. During this time, the camera experiences one malfunction where the image jerks and turns to snow, restoring to show 14 other figures in the elevator with Dr. Blank. As video pans around, all of whom move as he moves to allow him space. They remain, well, at least they're courteous ghosts. They remain for 35 seconds, then the camera flickers to snow and returns. Dr. Blank is now alone in the elevator, dancing as is assumed by the ducks and sways of the video feed. Well, at least he's having a good time. It seems that nobody else was having a good time in these areas. Dr. Blank pauses to comment on a rising stench coming from below. At this point, the elevator has reached floor -108. Dr. Blank presses -110 to interrupt the descent down and exits when that floor is reached. The elevator doors open to an enclosed observation deck with several PCs and chairs. All PCs appear to have power. The ceiling to this desk is also glass, and above it another deck is visible. Dr. Blank approaches the monitoring stations and checks one of the PC screens. On the screen is the Faithful OS logo, and a video feed toggling between 4 different views. The first view is a room of tubes similar to those found in Test Violet, which number in the thousands. The second view is a closer-up view of these tubes as a camera glides in front of each to monitor the contents. All the tubes the camera passes are broken. The third view is facing the opposite direction as a camera glides vertically, checking each observation station. A total of 10 can be counted, and Dr. Blank is visible as the camera passes by his own station. Looking up and hovering, a camera unit with no visible means of propulsion glides up past him. The fourth view shows the ground floor below the observation deck, where a single astonishingly large torso being is crawling in circles, bumping into walls and changing directions. From the camera feed, the creature's estimated size is 6 stories. Inside the building? Dr. Cocky thought none of them could get in the building. Returning attention to the contents of PC, Dr. Blank moves the video log aside to see a simple text editor that was hidden behind it. A printout of this test was recovered and filed in the field kit. The printout directed Dr. Blank to a safe on floor 54 and provided a combination. Dr. Blank leaves the observation deck and proceeds to 54 without event. Arriving on a cubicled office floor, he proceeds to the desk mentioned in the document and found a safe hidden beneath a desk undisturbed. The combination provided opens the safe and reveals a notebook and a peculiar revolver that has been returned as blank blank, in addition to 24 rounds of ammo found with it. Dr. Blank proceeds back to the elevator without event and returns to 34. Given the sheer number of floors available to explore and the vital information obtained from the observation deck, the test is considered over and equipment is retrieved. Before returning through the entry point, Dr. Blank investigates a terminal nearby that has no power and finds it shows the exact same screen the one on -110 shows. It is theorized that the author of the note installed a network virus to propagate it through the building so any PC on that network would be found and the information discovered. Dr. Blank returns through the entry point and the mirror returns to a reflective surface. All materials filed with other SCP-093 recovered materials. Analysis of blank blank and the ammunition. It's a pistol. Analysis of weapon and the ammunition for it postponed for reason that it would require deconstruction of one of the rounds, and they may be beneficial until testing of SCP-093 is resolved. Video ends. The next test classified as Red Test. I have no jokes for this one. Okay, so we got the test. This is a shorter test, and then we have the materials recovered from SCP-093 tests. Staff with acceptable clearance, please sign in with Dr. Blank for access to the materials recovered from SCP-093 tests. I'm gonna have to bypass Dr. Kooky's code to get into that file, but that should be easy enough. I mean, we got this far, right? They haven't sniffled my scent of SCP-Foundation deception yet. SCP-093, Mirror Test 5, color, red. SCP-093 distributed amongst staff until a new color could be generated by contact with it. Service Technician Blank was able to cause SCP-093 take on a fierce red hue and glow, much brighter than the object's normal color. Blank agreed to assist with the test of SCP-093, per Dr. Blank's request. The pistol weapon thing given to Technician Blank for use in this test. When applied to the mirror for the blank... I'm gonna keep saying blank way too many times, dude. I'm gonna name this Technician Big Red. How about that? Technician Big Red for use in this test. Per Dr. Kooky's request, the weapon pistol gun thing given to Technician Big Red for use in this test. When applied to the mirror for the test, SCP-093 generates an unknown environment. No color tinge appears present to the displayed destination, which is comprised of red stonework. Technician Big Red enters the mirror and video capture begins. Video flickers to life and Technician Big Red, known hereafter as Subject, but I already gave him a name, is viewing a large cylindrical pillar that is rotating on its own. Object is of unknown height and appears to be 1.8 meters, 6 feet in width. Holes are distributed throughout the object at seemingly random intervals. On occasion, a beam of white light is emitted from these holes. Turning of the camera finds that the beams are connected to a multitude of objects similar to SCP-093 that are part of the room's walls. The room turns out to also be cylindrical in shape with countless copies of SCP-093. Somebody took the one that coincides with our universe and used it to open a hole to our universe. And then it was recovered in our universe. All of these SCP-093s, the writing and etchings on SCP-093, these disk thingies, could be like coordinates into other multiverses. Probably. Subject turns back to entry point and finds it is a section of wall that is missing a copy of SCP-093. Yes, presumably the one carried with Subject. Other sections of the wall on inspection are also found to be missing their copies, leading to speculation that this may be some sort of central array. Subject finds a ladder in the floor while examining the room and proceeds down it at Control's request. There are other ones out there in the multiverse. The ladder exits into a large clean room full of computer equipment that appears antiquated compared to previously encountered equipment. Large computers running on reel-to-reels are clicking and spinning at various locations. A light bulb of unknown meaning turns on for 10 seconds, then turns off. A large CRT monitor is displaying single words in 8 colors at roughly 5 seconds intervals. While observed, the words clean, unclean, clean, clean, lost, unclean flash on the screen. Proceeding through the room, it ends in a large glass window as another observation deck. This deck looks out over another series of tubes as witnessed before, but far fewer and filled with a blue liquid. What appears to be electrical current dances over many of the tubes at erratic intervals. At least 5 tubes at first glance are empty and broken. At the observation window, a keyboard is present on a pedestal awaiting a selection to be made. The options available on the screen are tube status, which waits for a numerical input, reports, situation X549, situation X550, evacuation log, bullshit, Agent Blank Blank's report, and facility fire plan. Video expunged. All selections that generated text were transcribed by subject Big Red and verified by a control member who passed through the portal to recover them. This process took approximately 2 hours and video feed was deleted to condense this report. Recorded documents are filed as blank-blank-blank. Video interrupted. I gotta break into this doctor's log of items for sure now. I'm curious. I'm a curious, stupid little slimy, stupid boy. Hell yeah, dude. Control lost contact with subject approximately 30 minutes after departure of control tech. Subject was asked to remain in area and observe the machinery in the containment room to make observations for debriefing. SCP-093 mirror portal returned to a reflective surface prematurely, and all video contact with subject was lost. Control was unable to re-establish due to SCP-093 being across the mirror. A time lapse of 1 minute and 48 seconds was recorded before mirror portal re-established itself and subject returned through the portal. Subject appeared to be in good health and condition despite the time loss but spoke little. During immediate debriefing, subject underwent sudden convulsions and medical staff was alerted. While attempting to subdue subject, he displayed enhanced strength and used the weapon gun thingy to shoot one of the debriefing staff, killing them. Guard shot subject once with a sidearm in the heart and once in the chest, but subject did not fall. There you go, Big Red. I don't know why you're so mad, though. He's Big Red to the core, my man. All staff evacuated room and second shot was fired by subject with which he missed. A more heavily armed team entered debriefing room and used automatic weapons to dispatch Big Red. Reports confirmed that Big Red did not bleed when shot, but instead leaked a green-brown substance that seemed to be a mix of solution observed in some containment tubes and the material recovered during Test 3. Big Red is filled with ewy goo stuff, dude. All further SCP-093 tests have been discontinued while review of materials recovered is in effect. A secondary tape recording device was found to have activated in the field kit after loss of video feed, and its contents have been filled with other recovered materials. All recovered materials from SCP-093 testing are Level 4 classification. Release must be approved by no fewer than 2 Level 4 personnel. Oh yeah, well I can just beep bop boop, make this get into here. Ooh ah ooh, and we're in. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Recovered materials. All documents contained in this file are Class 4 clearance, requiring 2 signing approvals to access. Any employee reading past this point who does not have proper classification should consider themselves to be terminated from employment and now subject to disciplinary actions up to and including forced administration of Class A amnestic, immediate transfer to Keter Class security, and death. Good thing I'm not an employee and I just hacked into the system. Put that in your freaking feed, you bitch. Blue test. Newspaper article 1. I ain't scared, dude. I ain't got no regrets. Talking about SCP-093, continuing. Only one item could be recovering during our initial test, and that was a newspaper clipping found attached to a corkboard in an abandoned bunker. Most of the articles were in a state of decay, but one was firm enough for recovery. I wouldn't describe paper as, newspaper as being firm. Honey, did you read the newspaper this morning? It had a nice firmness to it. They must be pumping more milk into that paper these days, huh? No, nothing, honey. Most Holy Father announces progress, unclean being cleansed. A rare public address directly from the Most Holy Father of the United Lands of the Sun has declared that the Blessed Militia has driven back many of the unclean who are skulking our lands now. New Rome, our capital, has been purged of the unclean, and citizens are encouraged to come back to their homes. Citizens who live in the surrounding countryside should not return to their farms, as the unclean still roam the fields and plains around our glorious city and continue to grow in size. The Blessed Militia has developed new weapons which have proven capable of punishing the unclean and driving them back into the unfertile lands. Construction has begun of a system to permanently close the unfertile lands off from our blessed lands in each affected area, once all the unclean have been driven away. The Most Holy requests that all citizens of our united lands bow in prayer and offer tithe to recognize the sacrifices of our blessed militia in these troubled times. Reports have been coming in that falsely accuse the blessed militia of having committed sin against the citizens whose homes they are inhabiting as they travel bravely through the contaminated lands. The Most Holy would like to remind the people that blasphemy against any who wear his mark is the most grave of sin, and unfounded accusations will be punished accordingly. We should work to support he and his men, however possible, just as they laid down their lives for us. Green Test Newspaper Articles 234 Diary. Our second test recovered many materials that helped to establish a sequence of events for this alternate world. The diary recovered provided a glimpse into the last days of the owners of the home from which it was recovered, and may represent activity in other areas of the world as well. Newspaper Article 2. Oh God, this asshole again. Farms surrounding the city of Silver Feathers have reported being unable to contact neighbors across voice or video feeds in the last week. Until an approval is granted by the regional High Father, an investigation cannot commence, but he ensures the people that these events have not escaped his attention. Residents are advised to notify their local Blessed Voice daily so any further disappearances can be addressed immediately. Residents are also advised to begin stocking their shelters to be ready for any situation. Newspaper Article 3. Following the disappearance of the Blessed Voices from several outlying regions around the city of Silver Feathers, the regional High Father has declared a concern for safety and livelihood. Under this declaration, all farmland residents must evacuate immediately to their shelters. Scattered reports of an unclean have come in, but have not yet been verified. Newspaper Article 4. The City of Glorious Song has stopped responding to any and all communications. The worst can only be assumed, and our hearts go out to any who are in the region who are unable to hear our words. The City of Silver Feathers Blessed Militia has reported several incursions by the unclean into the city, and have exterminated 4 of the abominations before they could become a danger to any residents. The regional High Father reminds the citizens to avoid direct confrontation with the unclean. Conventional arms do nothing to the unclean. Only the most holy of implements will penetrate their sin, so do not put yourself in danger. Any citizens who suspect their neighbors indulging in heavy sin should immediately contact the Blessed Militia through designated checkpoints. ___. Diary entry. I have the distinct feeling we're gonna die, so I'm gonna write this all down now for whoever comes along and finds our bones. My name is Herverv Jackalsiv, and I'm a farmer. I grows the rabsticks and the huskiers. We raise the inks and the ooms. It's me, my wife Opheria, and our 2 little uns, Trevin and Listeria. I got this book and trade from the blessed man who came by for food and shelter. He told us to start getting our shelter ready and not to let no other blessed who coming by even know we're here. Says the whole thing break down, nothing right no more. So I does as he says. Got it all ready. We going down there in the next day or so. In the morning he was gone, which made the wife sad, and he was so polite to us and like most of the others. Figure he didn't want to be no burden. Liz went out looking for him to be sure he weren't just around the house. He didn't turn up nowhere, so we guess he left. Strange enough, Liz found his clothes around a mile or so away, and all his gear, but no him. She left it all there, and that's for the best of what happened that I think. I'm clearly no educated man, don't claim to be, but I can put 2 and 2 together and tell you that things are bad out there. For everyone, and especially for us, because it's coming way too close. Sometimes you can smell it. That's when we hide. It smells like a leg of meat that's been rotten for way too long and just won't go back into the dirt. Even the soils reject them, I guess, refusing to let them be buried to die. It came too fast. We weren't ready. The smell came in the night. Maybe we would have been fine, but the little ones were afraid, so we went to the shelter. Trev was slow. He saw it, kept staring at it, and it shambled by. It ignored us until he screamed when I was getting less in the mist down in the shelter. I went to get him, but it was too fast. Saw him standing up there screaming, and then its head came down on him, pressed over him. He tried to run for the stairs, tried to get to us, but then in a blink, he was gone and it pulled away. His clothes fell into the cellar like he vanished out of them. I got into the shelter, slammed the hatch, and locked it. I think it knows we're here now. It'll try to get in, take us too. No telling how long we got. Plenty of food, though. I was wrong. The food was rotten. Something got into it. I just didn't notice. We're eating what we can. There's food, but not enough, and that thing ain't leaving.
Was trying to find ways in, smelt the smell coming from the life web plug in the wall. Something seeped through it and then we kept away. I got all hard like a rock and don't smell no more. Maybe the power in the plug finally let it die. I went up to peek. Cellar's fine. Trev's clothes still on the stairs. Peeked outside. We're not gonna make it. There were 10, 20, 30. Couldn't count so many. All going in a circle around the house, looking at it with those faceless faces and the stink. Oh, God, that stink. Went back into the shelter and locked the door. I don't want to see my family right away. I think faster is better. The miss, she agrees. We won't tell Liz. She'll be first. Then my wife, my love, then me. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I gave the best life to my family possible. It was them holy ones that brought this. I'm gonna pin this in memory of my great pap. He was old and knew stories older than himself. Says those unclean they preach about, those unfertile zones they stay out of, all 'cause of the most holy bringing the world together. Them things are the ultimate sin. Everything about us that was evil and impure is in them. They don't know nothing but doing what they do. Don't even know why they do it, they just do it. Takes us into them, then we're gone. I asked Pap what they were and he lit a stick, took a puff and he said, I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody who'll admit it. But if you see this symbol, if you see it, you run, boy, you run fast. You run far and you hide and you never go back where you saw it. That's all I know. I remember the symbol. Was on the rock he kept on his neck under his shirt. Next day, Pap was gone. Nowhere to be found. Dad weren't sad. Said he knew it had happened one day. Pap went home. I'll see you soon too, Dad. Pap.
Data expunged. Symbol matches symbol found on SCP-093's surface as one of the deeper engravings, also matching symbols noticed on video feed of final test on SCP-093 duplicates. Violet test, office ledger. The third test with SCP-093 resulted in the unfortunate loss of a security member, but also allowed us to recover a ledger with insight into the medical procedures carried out on the alternate Earth, now termed as E-093. Patient, Jennifer McZurka. Recovery tube 001-1. Mixture, 35% tears, 30% nutrient, 10% HFT, 25% blessing. They're mixing people in unknown brown alien tears. Jesus. Summary. Jennifer McZurka is 20 cycles of age and during her 18th cycle was the victim of a HOV ride accident that resulted in brain damage and misalignment of her moral processes. She is prone to violent outbursts and can only be calmed down by impure stimulation. Because of this, she actively seeks out strangers to mingle with, and her parents have requested of the High Father that she be set to the tears to mend her body and mind. During preparation for the tears, subject went into a rage and the attending hand went to recover a sedative. Jennifer tore her clothes off and screamed impure words at me, so I locked the door and instructed the hand to wait outside. I am half shameful to admit I laid with Jennifer a total of 7 times before putting her to the tears. It has been very long for me and her parents have abandoned her to our care, so care for her I will. Ew. Before setting her to the tears, I authorized a blessed probe of her body functions and found she is settled now with Young, and test confirms it shall be mine. I have mixed her bath to accommodate this, and she will soak in the tears until her body is ready to give life. I think that's against science practices, my man. Patient, Albarius Farafin. Recovery tube 1-3. Mixture, 80% tears, 20% nutrient. What else was in there? What's HFT? Holy Father tears? Holy fuck. Albarius Farafin is a farmer from outside the city of Silver Feathers who claims to have lost family to the unclean. He confronted the High Fathers of the city and demanded compensation and retribution for the loss. The High Fathers deny the existence of unclean beyond the unfertile lands and refuse compensation or retribution. Albarius struck a High Father and was arrested and sentenced to a cleansing of the soul. His mixture is primarily tears to seep into the soul and cleanse his heart and ease his pain. The lawkeepers state his family is indeed missing, so his sentence beyond the tears has been dropped in sympathy for their loss. I used the last of the HFT on Jennifer, or I would have used less tears in this bath. 80% is higher than I am comfortable with, but the HFT is becoming hard to obtain. I may have to go through the dark. Patient blank. Recovery tube 2-1. 75% nutrient, 25% blessing. What has he got in there? Soylent? For nutrient? He's just bathing, he's just putting soy milk in these things. Yellow test PC printout, safe, diary. It was in the safe. I don't know how safe the diary is to read, but you know. The fourth test into Earth-093 provided us with the documentation assumed to be written by a technician in either a medical or government facility. The blank weapon found in the safe is being considered for SCP classification primarily due to the compensation of the ammunition found within it, and the advanced firing mechanism attached to what should be a very base firearm. Maybe it's comprised of some sort of percentage of blessing. Maybe. Yep. I bet that's it. PC printout. I did not trust the Overwatchers. I felt something was wrong years ago. Under my desk on floor 5-4 is a safe with a weapon in it. It is one of those used by the blessed militia. My brother has sent it to me. He says they are also not what they claim. They have done things to our fellows even more vile than what the unclean would do. He tells me to be ready to fight. I cannot. It is not me. I do not know violence. I am too frail. You use it. Save yourself. The safe diary. My name is Harville Tolowis. I am a hard systems watcher here. My job is to monitor the sinful who bathe in the Lord's tears and then make sure that they reach the prescribed dilution time. I've been doing this job for 23 years now, and things are falling apart. I can no longer abide by the most holy. I must speak my truth. We are being told to evacuate. The containment tubes have been breached. An unclean has appeared in the place of rest. The live motion footage shows how it came to be, and this is what has sealed my heart and mind and tongue. I must speak. Should the Overwatchers see this, I will be silent, so I must hide it. Thankfully, they are ignorant with the hardware, so I can hide this easily. The Overwatchers told us we should leave last to ensure the hardware contains the unclean. What that means is we should distract it and die in case it breaches the watching decks. It has shattered nearly all the tubes and absorbed the people in them. I have dispatched the eyes to the unclean and they have touched it, bringing me back a sample of it. The unclean are not sinners. They are not products of our disobedience. I suspect they are us. The eyes have dated the sample. It is older than myself, older than my elders. It is over 200 cycles in age. 200! The sirens are still sounding, but no signal has come for us to leave. I do not think this unclean is alone. I have seen how they can get into places, between places. Between places? Is that where they have been all this time? Between places? The makeup of the unclean is unstable, molecules detached and reattached almost before my eyes, as if to move the entire thing reforms itself in space and time. Why does it not come up here? Too much effort? Or does it not sense me? They have no eyes, no mouth, no face. They cannot speak, cannot see, but they must be able to sense us. The smell is so strong, it comes from all directions. It is not a smell of the dead. It is a smell that comes from something that should be dead but does not know how to die. How does he know that? Have you ever smelt that before? The War of the Holy Union. I think that was where it may have started. We are united under the Most Holy, but what does he owe us? Nothing. We merely keep society running while those on high benefit. Is this not how it always has been? But now we are told we are pleasing the will of those above us in the clouds, those great beings who gave us the power to live and prosper, those who we never laid eyes upon but are told we must revere. Lies, all of it. It must be. I am using the eyes to create a fluid to oppose the makeup of the unclean sample. Perhaps they will cancel each other out. I will leave soon and store the rounds here. I cannot use this weapon. I am too weak a man for this. I will protect my family with my mind and not my rage. We will be safe in the fields. I know where to go. I will go above now, to my family. I will leave the hardware running. I was told to turn it off, but this is where I defy them. It will run. This will watch. The eyes will see for however much time they have. Someone will read this, and someone will know. Take the gun, take the fluid. Do not listen to the Most Holy. We did, and we are damned for it. The document dude here has got a weird kind of mix of, dialects, huh? That's interesting. It probably has something to do with, just how things develop in that world. The unknown weapon is a revolver-style weapon with two 12-bullet cylinders. The design of the gun has one cylinder on each side, raised slightly so they may flip into the gun itself and then rotate, firing all rounds, before flipping back out and allowing it to be reloaded while the second is usable, allowing a total of 24 shots before it runs empty. There is no firing pin on this gun, but instead there is a pullback slide mechanism that must be used to prime the active cylinder. At the time of recovering, all 24 slots contained a syringe-style bullet with 32 needles on the end. On impact, it is assumed the force of the shot will press the liquid inside into the target. None have yet been tested. Of express interest is that these cylinders can hold a standard .45 caliber ammunition, which has been tested. The gun uses an ultra-high power magnetic rail system to deliver the shot, so the gunpowder in the bullet is never used. In consideration is a redesign of a round that would utilize the gunpowder mid-fight to add even higher velocity to the round, or that would explode on impact for higher yield. Red test. PC printouts. The final authorized test with SCP-093 resulted in the loss of a skilled service technician, but allowed us to recover very revealing documents that can only be assumed to not have been intended for public knowledge in any world. Curious among these is Agent Blank's report, which appears to have been written by a Foundation employee several decades ago. While these paper printouts were the best material recovered, it seems that the system used to create them allowed for multiple forms of input, including typed and verbal speech to text. Some audio logs of the printouts below are available but must be requested in advance with fully written explanations as to why. This dual input system seems to explain the variances in the style between users, as well with assumptions made on the part of the software while performing conversions. Okay, so we're gonna get some more audio logs of some weird sounding a-holes, you know what I mean? I mean, people's face holes. Facility fire plan. In the event of any emergency requiring the facility to be evacuated, all Clear Force staff should report to Train Station 3 and use their vial to call the evacuation train. Only one vial is required to call the train and may contain any amount of tears. An empty vial will not call the train. Clear 2 and 1 staff should remain at their posts until either 10 minutes after the departure of Clear 4 persons or until authorized by Clear 4 staff. Clear 3 staff should utilize the protective garments at their stations and weapons lockers before proceeding to designated crisis areas, as dictated by Clear Staff 4. Reports.
3 unfertile zones have increased 25% in size in the last 7 days. Containment teams are not finding any presence of unclean in these zones, but they are visibly confirmed as expanding. Clear 5 level Highfathers have confirmed breaches in the holy chambers at each of these zones, all chambers found empty. It is believed that the unclean have breached containment on the holy chambers, dispatching additional guard to remaining chambers.
Interesting. I don't know where the hell that guy was from. Situation X549. Expansion of Zone 64TO has been confirmed. Unfertile zone containment procedures in effect. Containment staff dispatched to site. This is the 10th report in 30 days. Upgrading the situation status. Reports from Clear 5 Highfathers have stopped at all affected. The city of His Word has been placed on full lockdown and all travel denied in or out. Other cities are now in alert mode, and combat teams are being dispatched to city perimeters. Situation X550. The great land of Hafusia has fallen per satellite images. Entire landmass considered tainted. Outbreak of sin reported in Lavina, and that landmass has requested assistance from the Holy Union. Assistance denied due to our own outbreak, and mass reportings of unclean. Clear 10 staff has issued the order to evacuate via the gateway, and for all Holy Union authorized persons to proceed to the nearest sky platform for evacuation to Star Eye Eden to continue monitoring situation. Gateway keys are being ejected to prevent spread from this center to other space-time vectors. Resurrecting staff are being awakened to monitor and continue reports here as we evacuate. May His blessings forgive our greatest sin. They made the flat disks to prevent the spread from this center to other space-time vectors. Okay, so I guess if you remove the disks, then you can just use them? I guess the fail-safes failed, and then now you can just use any of them to go to any space-time coordinates. Cool, good job, guys. Good design. Evacuation log. Evacuation in progress. Evacuation in progress. Shuttle 1 away. Shuttle 2. Shuttle error. System purge. Yep. Unreadable. Bullshit. Dude, what the fuck is this place? Like, okay, so like, there are people typing stuff here, so I'm gonna type 2, I guess. So like, I found this rock in the pond by my house, and it was all like kind of glowy and stuff, and when I picked it up, I'm like, oh wow. And when I picked it up, the pine, you couldn't see the bottom of it, was this weird room with a glowy rock thing. Like, I don't know. So, like, I guess I fell into it, oops, and now I'm here and not there. And really, I'm kind of scared, but this place is like a movie set, so I guess it's cool. There's some guy I can hear talking, and he keeps asking me to come downstairs, but I don't see no door, and he keeps screaming for help too. I told him to eat my ass, and he won't shut up, I guess. I could try going back into that room, but it's also so creepy in there. I'm sort of scared to laugh. Oh, so hey, I found a door. It's like in the floor instead of on a wall, so like, I'm gonna go tell that guy yelling to shut it up so I can go home. I'll be back. Agent Blank's report. I did not enjoy that guy. Agent Blank's report. My name is Blank Blank, and I am an agent at the Foundation. The year in my world is 1972. I assume it is the same in this world, but from what I have seen due to SCP-093, life on this world ended in approximately 1954. I have used SCP-093 to visit a number of locales starting and ending here in this center. I have seen the landscapes where no grass will grow. I have run from the unclean as they pursue anything they sense. I have no understanding of how they hunt, but I have learned what they are. Quick side note, I am gonna say the next episode, I'm gonna finish this one, but the next episode will be the log from Lord Blackwood when he used the red disc to take a portal into this world. But he used the disc back in like 1864 or something, and now it's 1972. All I'm saying is that when Lord Blackwood went to, like in 1864, everything was running hunky-dory. You know what I mean? Hunky-dory. And now, everything ain't so hunky-dory. There's no spoilers because I don't know how it happened. I'm just giving you a little teaser for the next episode. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Approximately 350 years ago or so, this world experienced a technological boom ours did not. The source of this seems to have been the arrival of He, a godlike being of unknown origin. He declared the world unclean and full of sin, and the only way to purge itself of this sin was to purge the sinners. A war, whoever was left alive was clean. Amazing advances in science were bestowed to all cultures for a period of 10 years to prepare them for this war, and during that time, He disappeared. The war happened anyways. The instigator, the Holy Union of Land, apparently the landmass that, for us, would become the United States. Records are sketchy, and books that detail anything about this time period are forbidden in this world. I located a cache of recorded history by following a series of corrupted computer communications. It seems the primary weapon used in this war for His love was in fact people, exposed to something called His holy tears, a liquid compound I have seen in use even today in abandoned medical facilities. His holy tears purge the sin from the unclean and make them love Him. At least that's what the label states. The records I recovered are very unclear about how this war was waged, except to state His holy chosen walked the lands of the sinful and took their sin unto themselves. Those who cried for His salvation received it, and are now our children. Those who denied His love were purified in His radiance. But something apparently happened no one knew how to deal with. The unclean, the large creatures that are half a man and devour whatever they touch that lives and breathes. I actually found a scientific report written by someone who stumbled here with an SCP-093 copy. These creatures are the result of an exposure to a very pure form of His tears, resulting in a genetic apocalypse occurring within the exposed. There are terms in here, something about quantum restructuring. I don't understand any of this, but it means they were once humans like everyone else, that couldn't be controlled. Quantum restructuring means that whatever He came from dimension, they're like phasing in and out. They're like a half physical being in this dimension, but they could be contained. They seem to be attracted to His tears, and a central point was established in various regions where a person with the purest form of His tears stays, keeping the unclean in that area, known as an unfertile land. Something went wrong with that too. Not sure what, but everything fell apart. The power structure, the culture, the people, all of it fell to ruins, and now these things shamble around the land as its new owners, with no purpose or no direction. You can stand next to one if you can stand the stink, and they just slip right past you. If you catch their attention though, that's it. They move like lightning if they need to, and like a snail unless they have a reason to speed up. Sometimes I think they chase just to do it. Others, they move to kill. I think someone is in this facility, or someone's. I keep hearing voices and requests coming from areas or under the floor. I want to leave this before I explore the facility any further. I have sent SCP-093 back through the entry mirror to seal that gate. These things can't be let into our world, nor should we have anything to do with this one. We're simply not smart enough to understand it all, I feel. I don't think the unclean can die. They're immortal, but they don't want to be. They just want to die. They're in my head, I think. I didn't notice it till just now, but equipment in this room is starting to react to me. Words on the screen begging for help. I remember touching the tears, smelling it, tasting it, just a touch, not eating it, just touching to it, tasting for acidity. We have pretty stupid investigative procedure, I think. The High Fathers are alive, They have technology we only imagine in our comics given by him. Some of the records on this machine indicate space travel, but they didn't go far, just far enough to watch the world fall apart and wait to come back and take it. But if they're up there, who is in this building with me? I've seen the faces of the people, the unclean. They show up on the pictures cast by the machine, in the room with me watching me. I think they're everywhere on this world, only seen by machines now. They don't look sad or happy, just curious. They want to know why them, why did all that happen? I don't know, I just don't know. They showed me things when I touched them, and it's not quite like the records they say. The unclean remember it all. Every person they touch becomes part of them, safe inside them but dead to us. Every mind, every feeling, every terror, it's eternal to them. I kind of want to join them, but I too much to do. They want me to find him, kill him. Why would you want to join them, my man? Keep it together, dude. There was no war. It was him, it. It came from between the folds of time and space and worlds and light and dark, something that is but should not be, slipped in and called out to them as their god, and they believed it, and they tasted it and touched it and laid with it and became its property and did its will, and it is still here. The SCP-093 it brought with it, pulled forcefully with it, built it. They don't know, but it belongs to him. It lets him move between places, between worlds, so I broke it. I threw pieces of it away and threw holes so those doors are closed, just like ours is closed and I can't go home, so what else can I do? It calls out through the rock somehow. It knows where they are, but can't touch them. But if you hide the rock, he can't call out, and he's stuck too. I got you, you son of a bitch, I got you, bang bang. I touched him with my fist and my gun, and he fell down, but he'll get back up soon. I'm sorry. I did all I could. Just let me sleep now, please.
Okay. Well, that was a situation. Seems like an interdimensional, he summed it up. Folding its way into those flappy folds of time and space. You know how it goes. So it seems we kind of have a glimpse into SCP-093, the origins. Next time I'm going to be reading Lord Blackwood's expedition logs into SCP-093's universe. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time to get that sloppy, stanky, crispy, squeezed ether straight into those ear canals.